everybody, Trevor here, and it's time for the next mini review. And for today's topic, we'll be looking at the 18th season episode, Signals Crossed, which was considered one of the worst episodes starring our faithful tram engine, Toby. But why is it bad, you may ask? Well, since we've already tore up the last episode to shreds, we're gonna dive deep into why this episode isn't as good as I remembered it, even if it's part of the Renaissance era of the show. Now, remember when I reviewed Who's Jeffrey and why I regret not adding it to my top 5 worst Andrew Brenner episodes? Well, since that episode would have been number 6, Signals Cross would have been number 7, and I'm here to explain why right now. It starts off with Toby and Henrietta doing their usual jobs at the quarry by picking up and delivering the quarry workers to and from work. But he has to go back to Knapford Station to pick up more workers, which makes Toby nervous because he says he's afraid of Knapford Junction due to the oncoming traffic that occurs every so often. Now, this leads us to the biggest problem with this episode. Toby has been to Knapford Junction plenty of times before, and I do mean plenty of times, and that includes the CGI series in general. Also, he's supposed to be a wise old engine, not a cowardly old hermit. Now look, I get it. Dealing with oncoming traffic can be very scary and confusing for everybody, including me sometimes. Heck, I sometimes have a hard time deciding whether it's my right of way or not. But Toby should have known better at learning signals in his current old age. What also bugs me about this episode is that some of the engines, including James, always say that everyone knows that Toby is afraid of Knapford Junction, which, as I stated earlier, isn't true. Later in the episode, Toby was hiding next to a signal box when Thomas arrived to check up on him. He gives Toby advice to look at the signal directly above his line. In all honesty, I loved the fact that both Thomas and Henrietta were great role models to Toby and that they helped him overcome his fear of Knapford Junction. I also thought that Maggie Olorenshaw is the perfect voice actress for Henrietta because, after all, Henrietta is a British coach design. But those don't excuse the overall out-of-character tram engine that is Toby. Afterwards, Toby waits at Knapford Station waiting for the signal to go green, but it stays red. This gets the quarry workers and James to become impatient. Toby keeps telling them that he can't go because the signal is still red. This gets Sir Topham Hatt and his 2 assistants to arrive at the commotion. Now here's another thing I like about this episode. This marks the very first time one of Sir Topham Hatt's assistants spoke, even though it was just a very quiet whisper. He whispers to Sir Topham Hatt that the signal must be broken, which gets him to finally understand Toby's dilemma. After Henrietta forces James to apologize to both her and Toby, Sir Topham Hatt orders some workmen to repair the signal while a flagman tells Toby and Henrietta to go by using a green flag. Thus ends the episode with Toby finally overcoming his fear of Knapford Junction. To be quite honest, I used to like this episode for its message, but because Toby was out of character about being afraid of Knapford Junction, this episode deserves a 4 out of 10 stars for me. It's not as bad as the last episode that I reviewed in terms of its message and use of characters, but it's still not a very good episode overall, even for Andrew Brenner standards. And to be frank, I think this episode could have worked if it was set in a different timeline, like when Toby and Henrietta first came to Sodor, or better yet, how about using a different character entirely like Fergus or something? But instead, they used Toby for this episode just because he's a fraidy cat. As much as I love Toby in general, but I don't like it when he acts all cowardly and hermit-like sometimes. I mean, he's usually not this scared of things. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below about Signals Crossed. Do you like it, hate it, or think it's meh? And yes, this will be the final mini review for now because I want my next video to be either a top 6 video on My Little Pony or a brand new unboxing video regarding Bachman Edward, whichever comes first. This is Trevor Davis signing off, and have a great day.